Hello, good evening. My name is Alan Jones, and I welcome you to another life story coming to you from Life Stories Worldwide. We bring you stories from across the world, and the stories go out across the world. We bring you stories of people who've gone through all types of challenges in their lives, many struggles they've gone through, sometimes dealing with rejection and oppression, and many different things. We are live on StreamYard, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also watch us on our web channel, Lifestoriesworldwide.com. That's probably one of the easiest places to watch. Our guest today is from California, near San Diego, although he originally came from San Salvador. His name is Luis Galdamez, and as a young man, Luis had a radical change in his life, which led him to a higher calling and a new beginning, which he's going to share about today. So I'm going to hand over to Luis to share his story. Thank you, Luis.
Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Luis. And yes, I am from El Salvador. I currently live in California. And I came to this country when I was 15 and a half, right around there. I had visited this country before when I was about 11, and I always wanted to live with my father. My mom and my dad got divorced when I was 2 years old. Therefore, I never really had a relationship with my dad. I knew a dad only by holidays. My dad will either show up or send us gifts for birthday, for Holy Week, or Christmas. But basically, that's the only relationship that I have with my father. Once in a blue moon, we will talk on the phone, but mainly it was just a letter or a gift that came in. I grew up with my mom. My mom was a single mom, and eventually she got married, and we grew up with my stepfather, who was a great man, but never did I consider him my father, not because he wasn't good. I just knew I had a father in the United States. So I always had that empty void of relationship that I wanted to seek my dad. At the time that I first came to America, I just came vacationing. I was 11. Everything was good. And my brother had come first. And the reason why I want to bring up my brother is because my brother was like my mentor. He was my mom, my brother. That was my family. My dad was in the States. And then my brother had moved to the States. So my life had collapsed a little bit because I didn't have my brother anymore. So now I had my mom, my stepdad, and my stepbrother and sister. Therefore, my family became my friends, which I had a lot of them. And I'm grateful and thankful. There was a lot of parents, there was a lot of friends that always tried to influence my life and give me good advice. But mainly, I never really had a religious relationship with Jesus Christ. My life was just simple. We were young. We were in El Salvador. We didn't have guns. We didn't use knives. But just about every day, we got in a fist fight, which eventually later made me join martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, Thai boxing. I was always into fighting. I always had a lot of anger in me, and I never understood why till later in my life when I actually became a motivational speaker and I started teaching different curriculums. And as I learned of the need of a young man to have a father and a mother full time and not to be raised by himself, I understood why part of my problem was and why some of the things that I'm going to share with you guys in the next few minutes on how my life took a bad turn. I came to America looking to what many come and do, the American dream. I wanted to have it all. I wanted to have the job, the house, the wife, the kids, and everything in America was supposed to be easy. I went to high school. And when I first got in high school, I thought, okay, I'm going to get an education, go to college, be successful. As soon as I got to high school, comes problem number one. I'm from El Salvador. I'm not Mexican. Many people think I'm from Mexico because I always tell people I'm Luis the Mexican, but I'm not. I'm Salvadorian. Well, if you don't know a lot about us Salvadorians, Mexicans and Salvadorians, we don't get along. So when I first get to the high school, little did I know that African Americans, blacks, and Mexicans don't get along either. Neither did the whites, Caucasians. They were in the school. So when I first came in, I thought everybody was going to be like, welcome to America. Well, that didn't happen. The Mexicans didn't like me because I was from El Salvador, and we fought. African Americans didn't like the Mexicans, and everybody just assumed I was from Mexico. And then by the time I tried to get some brotherly love, there was no love for me because they said, you're a Mexican. Then I tried to get love from the Caucasians, from the whites. They didn't like the Mexicans either. So therefore, it was very lonely in that school, being the only guy from El Salvador. I met a guy from Guatemala. I still remember his name. His name was Hugo. And he became my best friend. Guatemala is right next to El Salvador. And I remember we played soccer. It was good. Kind of kept me away from some of the stuff that later, oh, great, I got involved in. And I tell people all the time, look, when you come from another country, it's a totally different world here in America. So in my case, I wasn't used to, I couldn't even say, where's the bathroom? That was my first day in school. They just dropped me into school and they automatically assumed that I was going to know where the bathroom was. But the reality is, I didn't know how to say where the bathroom is. Now, I don't know about you guys, but going to another country, one thing I always learn, how do you say restroom, bathroom? Because when I first came to America, that was important for me. So being the fact that I didn't know, I'm trying to turn my phone off so we don't get interrupted anymore. Sorry about that. And okay, boom, phone is off. So due to the fact that when I came to America, I didn't speak the language and I didn't really have a lot of friends. Everything was either soccer, my best friend, or just hanging out at home. And it wasn't really productive because, you know, there's something about people needing relationships. And I just didn't have that. I grew up a little bit separated. I had a pain in my heart. I missed my mother. I loved my dad, but the relationship wasn't working. My dad was always a work provider, great man, but we didn't have a relationship. We didn't really talk about much other than I like going to work with him. I saw he was a good worker. I learned that from him. I saw my mom was a good worker. I learned that from her. So the only thing that I had was, I'm going to get myself a job. And I got 2 jobs. And eventually I got 3 jobs. And eventually I went to college, dropped out first semester, and I realized college is not for me. So what did I do? I was working and I was making some money thinking that the American dream was going to come. But I wasn't really making a lot of money. And I realized that maybe the American dream was not going to be for me. My mom called me and let me know that if I spoke English, by this time I did, and I was in good shape, by this time I was, that I could join El Salvador Air Force and maybe become a pilot. It was the dream of my life. That's what I thought I was going to do here. And by the way, not a good thing to come to America and not have papers when you have goals and dreams. Because in order to go in the military, you have to be a permanent resident or you have to be a U.S. citizen. Even though my dad was legal when I first came in, I wasn't. But later, my dad filled the papers, Catholic Charities, hooked it up, and I became a permanent legal resident. By that time, I was older. And during the school, I didn't have that. So I couldn't even think, I'm going to go in the military, which I tried. I told my dad I was going to become a Marine. I told my dad I was going to go in the Air Force. And my dad said, are you sure? Yeah. And then I shared with my other relatives and everybody said, yeah, do it. Well, I couldn't because I wasn't legal. So I ended up going back to El Salvador after being here, after finishing high school. Ironic, I was half a credit short of my graduation. And so I kind of graduated, but I needed to make up half of a credit. In order to get a diploma, by the way. Another problem for not speaking the language. when I first came to America. So by the time I went to El Salvador, I passed the test in English, 99. I was in good shape. I wasn't good in academics. So that's what I was struggling on that academy. However, I still managed to score good. And some of the other cadets that were there noticed that I spoke English, wrote English. And they said, hey, we're going to use you to help us get scholarships. I'm like, great. What do I do? We're going to take you and take that test over and over and over, which we did. And it worked out for them. Some of them scored really good because we were cheating. And remember, at that time, I was doing whatever it took to be happy at that military academy. I had a chance to become a pilot in the United States, and I messed up. Now, this is with everything before the United States takes a... I came here to find my way. That was the whole idea. American dream, find my way. Then, at a very young age, I took a detour. I went to El Salvador. I was in the academy, and I met the girl who actually became my wife, who actually is the mother of my son, Louis Jr., 38 now. Just got married on Sunday. One of the biggest blessings of my life, obviously, is my children. That's number one. Louis. By the time Louis came in, mom and dad had to get married. That would be me, because my girlfriend got pregnant. I was still in the academy. I had to come out of the academy and drop out. And there went the American dream. Tell you the truth, it wasn't like I was enjoying the academy, because I was getting beat up every day. My leg was broken. Ironic, as we're doing this video. My leg is broken right now. And it was a lot of suffering. You know, it's like growing up here in my country. When I came here, I told you the story. White, black, Mexicans didn't like me. Once I went back to El Salvador, I got picked on because I grew up in the United States. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was only there for 4 years. How can you guys hate me by now? And everybody used to call me gringo, which I'm not. I'm Hispanic, but they thought I was whitey. That was the nickname. And they thought that I was more USA than El Salvador. And I tried to tell them, no, bro, I'm back in my country. We had a civil war, and I had signed up because I wanted to defend my country. But that didn't work out. My girlfriend got pregnant, and it wasn't because of love. It was mainly because of sex. My friends challenged me to see if I could get with this one girl. So in between the academy, I would come and visit her. And in between the academy, we ended up having sex. I want to make sure you understand. It wasn't love. It was all about sex. And by the time I found out the first time she was pregnant, she had an abortion. So the baby was actually killed. And I had no idea that that happened. So by the time I found out, I was heartbroken. I couldn't believe it. I told her I never want to see you again. And then a few months later, boom, she got pregnant again. I don't know how it happened. Oh, wait, I do know. I was still having sex. So after the first baby dies, because of my mistakes and because we didn't really know what love was, I was able to convince her that I love her. But when in reality, I didn't even know what love was. But she said she loved me. I said, I love you. And baby number 2, which really is my firstborn, named Louis, which, like I said, in case my son is watching this, you know I love you with all my heart, bro, but I have to tell the truth. And yes, if you see my hat, sinner. This is my life in the past. This is how I started. Everything started here in America. I wasn't happy. I went back to El Salvador. I met my wife, and we got married. Then we came here. By the time I got here, remember, one baby dead, one baby alive. Not the best way to start your marriage. And on top of that, I have no education. And on top of that, I have a wife. I went back for a little bit with my dad again. Remind you, I didn't really have a great relationship with my father, but he was there to help us. So when I came back, I was trying to work this out. I got a job, then I got another job, then I got 3 jobs. We didn't have a card. I didn't have an education. It wasn't the best system.